So let's talk about a new topic, well new for my channel, and that's World War III. Now there's a lot of talk at the moment on YouTube about World War III, but I happen to think everyone's got it wrong. Now there are many people who think that World War III is actually happening now, and it's a completely financial war and also involving cyber weapons, so computer hacking and the like. Now this is mainly because there are no leaders of any substance who would actually press the button on a nuclear war, and everyone is convinced that the next war will be a nuclear war because World War II, after all, turned into a nuclear war. The last actions of World War II were nuclear when America dropped the H-bomb, the A-bomb even. So no leader would actually have the guts to push the button, or should I say be mad enough to push the button, unless, and here's the unless they were a religious fanatic and they don't really care what happens on this world, because after all the next world is what's important. And I'm going to explain how I think that World War III will come about. And I'm going to start off by talking about a plant, and this plant, I will apologise for talking about this, but it's necessary so that you have an idea about what I'm talking about. This plant is called the Japanese knotweed, and its Latin name is Fallopian japonica. Now this is a totally amazing plant because it will grow through anything. It will grow through tarmac, it will grow through concrete, the roots will actually tear up brick walls, they'll tear up drains. In fact, about the only thing that it won't grow through is solid steel. Now the way this plant works is it sends down its roots and shoots until they're about 9 or 10 feet deep, and then it starts spreading outwards. And the really amazing thing about this plant is you realise you've got to get rid of it, because otherwise your house is going to fall down. So you start digging. You dig a big hole 9 or 10 feet deep. You take every trace of it that you can find and you burn it, or you throw it in a registered specialised landfill that deals with such things, and you sit there for 5 years and you think, hooray, it's all gone. And then year 6, boom, it's back. Now what happened? What happened was this entire huge plant can regrow itself from a tiny little piece of root, 3 centimeters long, just over an inch. Will regenerate the entire plant from 9 feet underground. Yeah, it's quite fantastic really. And on its way to regeneration, it will also grow through rock, it will grow through stones, it will grow through concrete. And this is exactly what ISIS is like. Because the way ISIS works is it takes over by infiltration and by growing up through whatever else happens to be around. And you'll notice that the countries that ISIS have taken hold of are all Muslim, and there's a reason for that. Now obviously they've done actions elsewhere. They've blown up the Canadian Parliament, they've messed around elsewhere in the USA, and their actions have been called I believe domestic violence and other things. They've been at work in the UK, they've been at work elsewhere, and yeah, sure, they're all over the place, but if you look at the countries that they've actually taken over, they are all Muslim countries. And the way they do it is by subverting the people inside that country. Do you think they actually fought huge battles against the Iraqi army? No, they didn't. They just made damn sure that the key people in the Iraqi army were on their side to begin with. Now, what's this got to do with World War III? Well, at the moment they're in Iraq. Now I have it on good authority that there are nuclear weapons a 33-hour drive away. Yep, they can drive from Iraq to Pakistan in 33 hours along some really well maintained highways. So it's obvious what can happen. Pakistan is a Muslim country. Can you imagine what would happen if, for example, the nuclear launch codes, assuming that Pakistan has such a thing and not just a big red button in someone's back garden, the nuclear launch codes suddenly fail to work because ISIS has compromised one or several people in the command circuit? Then Pakistan can't use their nuclear weapons against ISIS if ISIS attack. And ISIS, if they infiltrate 5,000 or 6,000 people into Pakistan, which will be easier for them to do. Pakistan has very porous borders, as do most of the other countries in that part of the world. Then taking over a nuclear base would not be of great difficulty for them. After all, we're now suggesting that they have not just the 20,000 or 25,000 troops that were suggested a month ago. No. People are now saying that they have 200,000 hardened fighters in ISIS. 200,000. Now, let's assume that they infiltrate Pakistan. I mean, they could infiltrate Israel, but it's not really likely, is it? It's not their way of working. Their way of working is to use the loyalties of the people who are already in place, already in an Islamic state, especially one that they want anyway as part of their new caliphate. So, there they are. They've got nuclear weapons. What's the rest of the world going to do? Let's assume that they run amok and they decide they're going to target their nuclear weapons against Western countries and make certain demands and certain threats and extort. I mean, this is the sort of thing that they did without nuclear weapons to form the first caliphate. And let's face it, the first time round they killed 270 million people to actually build the caliphate. So are they going to worry about using nuclear weapons? I don't think so. Are they going to worry about using biological weapons, which Pakistan also has? I don't think so. And what is the West going to do about it? Well, how do you target an enemy like ISIS? You don't actually really know where the leadership is most of the time. You don't actually really know where their troops are, because they look like every other Muslim on the ground, really. What are you going to do? Blow up the entire Muslim population of the world? That's not going to work, is it? We're not going to be able to do it. So all you can do is send in boots on the ground, do your drone strikes and all the rest of it, and if you carry on doing that, then ISIS is going to start picking you off using their nuclear weapons. And I really believe that this could be how World War III starts. Yeah, in the Middle East, as everyone has expected, but not America versus Russia, not America versus China. I mean, the thing is that Russia has backpedaled an awful lot You think about the pressure that Obama has put Russia under. I mean, in the days of Khrushchev, if you did that, he would be rattling nuclear missiles at you. Yeah, sure. Mr. Putin is circling aircraft with nuclear weapons over the top of everyone at the moment, but that's something Russia has always done. It's very much business as usual. It's not another Cuban Missile Crisis. And who is to say that some of these suitcase nukes aren't already in the United States anyway, or in any other country around Europe? We don't know. But Russia probably does. So, no, it's not going to be with Russia. Russia are actually quite pacifist at the moment. It's not going to be with China, because China cannot afford it. 70% of China's GDP this year has come from housing. And there are estimates that up to 20 million luxury apartments in China are uninhabited because people can't afford them. They're just there as a sort of way of keeping people busy and contributing towards this fictional, or largely fictional, GDP that China is claiming. And as the rest of the world contracts financially, people are buying less from China, and so their GDP goes down, and the real problems of their government just start. And very shortly they're going to have internal problems, I am sure of it, due to the financial and economic situation. So no, the Third World War isn't going to be with China. I think it's going to be everyone who is not a Muslim, and a few people who are, against ISIS. Now, you may think that, well, ISIS aren't going to be able to expand anywhere. They're not going to be able to expand into Europe, for example. Well, using their Japanese knotweed strategy, you might get a bit of a shock, because there is one European country recently where 80% of the Muslims in that country expressed support for ISIS. 7% of the Muslims in the UK express support for ISIS. 3% in Germany express support for ISIS. So we have this problem that this 3-centimetre root that's going to grow into a huge plant is already amongst us. That's not a good thing, really, especially if that plant then managed to grab hold of nukes and biological weapons. So ISIS, I think, is a problem that needs to be solved sooner, before they get their hands on anything like that, rather than later. Well, I hope you found this informative and maybe entertaining if you're of a masochistic bent of mind. If you do, then please like, please subscribe, and please share. Thanks very much. Bye.